Hello, hello, how are you? This is Coach Fleischer, and we are in Module 1, Session 3. This is going to be a pretty quick little presentation. It's a one slide, but it's a quick overview regarding some of the terminology and information I'll be using in this class as I talk through some of these slides. I realize that I just kind of in conversation, I'm going to just drop different terminology, and I think it's only fair that I put these out here just so you guys know what they are. And also how many times it's like fitness antonyms, right? And you'll see here in a second, when we look at different types of terminology, in the human body, you have things that are above and below, you have things that are middle and on outside of the body, and things that are close and distant. So like, for example, you have superior and inferior. My head is superior to my feet, right? My head is higher than my feet. Pretty easy to see on that one. Medial and lateral. My sternum, my breastbone is medial and my fingertips are lateral, right? Proximal, I have a proximal end and a distal end to my forearm. The elbow is more proximal, it's closer to my body. My wrist is more distal, it's further away, like distant. Other things you use like to describe action, you have concentric and eccentric, and I'll be talking more about these. You have a contraction and elongation cycle in any muscle contraction. You have ab and adduction. So abduction and adduction are opposites. Think abduction like to take away from the central line of the body, meaning the medial line of the body. Adduction is to bring closer to the medial line of the body. So as you're sitting here listening to me drone on about this, take your arm and raise it out to your side, you have just abducted your arm. If you bring it back to your side, you are adducting your arm. Flexion and extension, I've talked about those in terms of like a bicep curl, tricep extension exercise, and I think you guys probably are picking up on those pretty easy. Supination, pronation. Supination, a real easy way to remember this is if you're sitting here watching this video and you're holding a bowl of soup in your hand, you have to have your palm up and the bowl of soup sits in your hand. So think of supination like you're holding a bowl of soup. Pronation would be if you turn your hand over and you pour the soup out. So supination, you're holding the bowl. Pronation, pour. Turn the bowl over, you're pouring the soup out. Multi-joint and single joint, I'll talk at length regarding multi-joint and single joint exercises. Dumbbell bicep curl, single joint. Lat pull down, the elbow is still flexing and extending, right? Use some terminology in joint action. But with a lat pull down, the shoulder is also moving. So you have a multi-joint exercise or a single joint exercise classification. And then different phases, right? You have kind of a push me, pull me phase. You also have a positive and negative phase, which is closely tied to concentric and eccentric, but positive and negative is usually more like in multiple joint type exercises. So if you have a multi-joint exercise, and if you think of like a lat pull down, you're going to have a positive phase and a negative phase, and that usually hinges upon what is the primary muscle group doing. Is it either contracting? Is it going through a concentric or eccentric contraction? And then you also have passive and active types of contraction, which gets into one side of the body has to fire and one side has to relax, and there's phasing that happens with muscle contraction. So I just wanted to get these out there in front of you guys and have this terminology out there so it's something you can reference as we go through this class. But believe me, I'll be talking at length as I go through different homework assignments and different presentations and using this terminology. All right, signing off.